They said that they finna deport the Native Americans to motherfucking where? Where is y'all finna send these people to? Around the corner?
They don't look like Indians to me.
They look down on us like we're nothing. Trump threatens the sovereignty of our native tribes. Project 2025 will make a huge impact on us as Liuna.
Trump's administration is now questioning the birthright citizenship of Native people.
This is not a drill. ICE is detaining members of the Navajo Nation. Let me say this again. Immigration and Customs Enforcement are detaining and questioning indigenous people.
This they shit. How you gonna deport somebody from their own country? This they land. Never forget that. So where is y'all sending these people?
What's up, fam? Welcome back to the channel. We all gotta talk about this because when I first heard about this, I actually thought this has got to be a joke. But no, this is happening in real life. ICE raids are now targeting Native Americans. Yeah, you heard that right. Native Americans. The same immigration and customs enforcement that's supposed to deal with undocumented immigrants is out here actually trying to deport Native Americans. Unbelievable, right? These are the very people who have been in the land right before even the US actually existed. So now the backlash is rolling in heavy. Let's break it down and why it's even a conversation. If you're new to the channel, kindly subscribe, like this video, and drop me a comment of your opinion of today's episode. I'll be back with more commentary.
Hey, MAGA, let's talk about these racist ICE raids. And I know you guys want to say, oh, it's not about racism. It's about upholding the law. It's about ensuring that immigration is done properly. Okay, so riddle me this, Batman. If that's the goal, why don't we have any raids going on in the Brighton Beach area of Brooklyn? Why don't we have any raids going on in Boston, where Irish immigrants are well known to oftentimes overstay their visas? And why do we have reports of dozens of Navajo or Diné residents, Native Americans, in case you can't follow along? Why do we have dozens of reports of them in Arizona and New Mexico being detained and questioned to question their residency and their citizenships? These are Native Americans. Explain this to me. How is it not racist again? Tell me.
Bitch, y'all deporting the Native Americans. Now, where is y'all sending them folks? I did not mean to laugh, though, shade. Y'all, where is y'all sending them? Y'all forgetting this day country. Y'all can't think y'all sending them to my house. No, for real, because I ain't trying to get canceled or nothing. But where is y'all sending them? And it's no shade, baby. I don't have room over here, so y'all can't be sending them over here. We're on their land, y'all. Y'all, best bet is to put them on house arrest. Thank you.
Trump's administration is now questioning the birthright citizenship of Native people. So let's talk about it. So Trump's Justice Department has started pointing to both the Civil Rights Act of 1866 as well as the Supreme Court case Elk v. Wilkins to defend revoking birthright citizenship for a range of immigrants in the U.S. This is because both the Act and Supreme Court decision deny Native people birthright citizenship, with the court decision saying that indigenous people owe allegiance to their tribe and are not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. With that rationale, Trump's Justice Department is saying, and I quote, "The United States connection with the children of undocumented immigrants and temporary visitors is weaker than its connection with members of Indian tribes. If the latter link is insufficient for birthright citizenship, the former certainly is." Now, this is a deeply flawed and dangerous argument. I mean, on the face of it, birthright citizenship in the U.S. is a constitutional right, one that's even being defended right now by a Reagan-appointed judge. But beyond that, this administration is ignoring how, in 1924, the Indian Citizenship Act provided birthright citizenship for all Native people in the U.S., effectively overturning previous legislation and rulings. Now, I myself am Native. I'm part of the Lumbee tribe, and my tribe, unfortunately, majority voted for Trump. And right now, I'm really hoping that other Lumbees as well as other Native people can look at this and see Trump for what he is. This man ran on lowering the price of oil and groceries. But you know what he's really focused on right now? Questioning our right to birthright citizenship. Ultimately, removing birthright citizenship for anyone in the US is not only deeply flawed and problematic, but could lead to a very dangerous slippery slope. And these sorts of actions should really have us all on high alert.
They said that they finna deport the Native Americans to motherfucking where? Where is y'all finna send these people to? Around the corner? This they shit. How you gonna deport somebody from their own country? This they land. Never forget that. So where is y'all sending these people?
Well, it looks like Donald Trump's attempt to get rid of birthright citizenship is about a lot more than just immigrants. It's also about stripping citizenship from indigenous people. Justice Department lawyers are arguing that the 14th Amendment reads, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States. And that they're arguing that because indigenous people owe allegiance to their tribe, they are not under the subject of the jurisdiction of the United States and thus are not entitled to American citizenship or to birthright citizenship. Once again, this is just white supremacy at work, folks.
Multiple reports from Phoenix, Arizona indicate that members of tribal nations are being harassed by immigration officers, and at least one member of the Navajo Nation was detained and released by ICE. This is a devastating result of racial profiling and a stark reminder of settler colonial violence. To my indigenous brothers and sisters out there, please stay safe and take care.
This is not a drill. ICE is detaining members of the Navajo Nation. Let me say this again. Immigration and Customs Enforcement are detaining and questioning indigenous people. The issue started when reports came out that some Navajo people who have proof of their Native American identity were stopped and detained by ICE agents. Despite showing their valid tribal documents, ICE agents didn't recognize them. Indigenous people are indigenous to this country. They quite literally were here first. Now, when it comes to the so-called Uncle Sam paperwork, Native Americans were granted U.S. citizenship through the Indian Citizenship Act of 1924, but some government officials have recently argued that Native Americans should not be considered U.S. citizens. Now, this argument goes against the law and history. It creates confusion and fear in many Native communities. In response, tribal leaders are working to protect their people. They are pushing for clearer ways to prove citizenship and offering help to make sure that tribal members are not wrongfully detained. This problem isn't just one of a group of people being detained. It shows a larger issue of not respecting indigenous rights and sovereignty. This should not be happening. Indigenous communities already face many challenges, and now they also have to worry about ICE raids. This situation just shows how much more needs to be done to ensure that indigenous people are treated fairly and with respect. Oftentimes, people think that ICE just impacts the Latino community. On the contrary, ICE detentions also impact Black people, Native Americans, and Asian communities as well. No one will be spared from the mass deportations under Trump. It is time to unite and fight for dignity and respect for all people.
Another thing is, if you're gonna question our birthright citizenship, etc. and shit, don't want this shit to happen, but if anything were to happen, where are you gonna send us? Where are you gonna send us? Because the land that we've always known is the land that we're all currently on. That's all we've been knew. And, I mean, respectfully, you know, others have places to go to, you know, they have family, they have homes, they have other homes, but we as Native Americans, babes, this the only land that we always known of. And if anything, our reservations are still on this land, so we're still gonna be here, baby. We still gonna be here. Yes.
So what does revoking birthright citizenship mean for Native Americans? And if you're a First Nations, stick around to the end. There's something here for you too. You may have heard that birthright citizenship is being challenged for Native Americans in the United States. But what does that really mean? Let's break it down. The executive order that's being proposed would require Native Americans to swear sole allegiance to the United States in order to retain their citizenship. This challenges a long-standing law that allowed citizenship without renouncing tribal sovereignty. This is a principle that's foundational for Native nations. But here's the issue. What happens if they don't? Native Americans have no other homeland. The choice being presented here feels like a direct attack on sovereignty and native identity. This isn't happening in a vacuum. The current president has long admired Andrew Jackson, the very president responsible for the Trail of Tears, and policies that displaced and devastated native nations. And now history feels like it's repeating itself. So what can you do? Well, stay informed. Talk to your tribal leadership. Educate yourself and your communities on the challenges that are coming ahead. Together we can all stand strong on these attacks on our sovereignty. And before I close, I'd want to also talk about what this means for First Nations in Canada. The current president has repeatedly suggested that he wants Canada to become the 51st state. And for many, this seemed like, political rhetoric. It seemed impossible a month ago. But given the recent actions, especially the attacks on native sovereignty in the US, it's not such a far-fetched idea anymore. If such a scenario were to unfold in Canada, what would that mean for our sovereignty as Indigenous people here in Canada? Would we face similar challenges and choices? It's time that we too take this rhetoric seriously. Our leadership needs to start thinking about contingencies to ensure that our sovereignty is protected, no matter what happens south of the border.
Alright guys, there you have it, but let's start with the obvious. How does a government agency tasked with enforcing immigration laws come to a conclusion that Native Americans don't belong here? Like, make it make sense to us, because these are the first people of this land. They were there in the United States before even it was ever called the United States or the Americas. Before even Christopher Columbus ever thought of leaving Europe to explore the Americas, the indigenous people of the Americas were there. Their ancestors were there before colonization, they were there before the borders, and they were even there before immigration was even a concept. And yet ICE is out here acting like they don't have a right to be in their own country, in their own land. This is crazy, Now this is what's happening. Reports have been coming in saying that ICE has been trying to detain and even deport some indigenous people, tribes of indigenous people, some who have lived, in places near the US-Mexico border for years. And many of these tribes actually have federally recognized rights to move across the border freely because this has been their land. But despite that, reports are coming in that some Native Americans have been stopped, harassed, and even threatened with deportation. But the question is, deport them to where? That's their land, actually. If someone needs to be deported who actually does not belong to that land originally, it's, the rest of the people. Your black people came from Africa, white people came from Europe, the native Indian Americans, this has been their land for centuries. Everybody came actually and found them there. Now, as we have seen in the videos, guys, social media is not having it. People are speaking out. Native Americans are demanding answers and asking questions. And rightfully so, because this should not happen to them. Okay, we understand ICE raids on illegal and undocumented immigrants, but what about these Native Americans? You cannot deport them from the Americas. The American continental plate has been their land for centuries. And to be honest, guys, the fact that this is even happening, it actually exposes how flawed and overreaching these immigration policies can be. Because this kind of, recklessness from ICE should never happen. Now let's talk about the double standard and hypocrisy of immigration policies. Sometimes there is some double standard here. Now, this situation exposes some serious double standards. We know how certain immigration groups get treated compared to others. The system is designed to police some communities harder than others. But when they start coming after Native Americans, the hypocrisy is right there in your face. It shows how these institutions don't actually care about our history, fairness, or even basic logic. This whole situation really forces us to ask the bigger question. who really belongs in America, because if Native Americans are getting harassed and deported by the government that stole their land, then what does this say about the legitimacy of these borders in the first place? Because, we know the US was built on, some land that did not belong to them. And now it looks like they're trying to kick out the very people who are there first before everybody else. Alright guys, before we end this video, my call to action is, this is bigger than just one incident, This shows how much systems and power can be used to benefit one group of people and actually harass another. That's the sad reality of the world we live in today. This video was never meant for any hateful purposes or to instigate any kind of hate. It's for education purposes only. If you're new to the channel, kindly consider subscribing, like the video, and drop me your opinion in the comment section below. What do you think about today's episode? Thank you very much for choosing us. See you on the next episode.